Welcome to our next episode of
Fandom
Family
Chats.
This is a production of Family Fan Clubs on Facebook. You can find us all over Facebook. You can find us all over social media under Fandom Family Chats. Look us up, get dialed in, get plugged in, and get ready to listen to some crazy people talk crazy stuff. Hey guys, welcome back to Fandom Family Chats. I'm Maureen.
I'm Jeanette.
And we are back, and I'm excited because we are bringing you our very first book fandom. Now, we wanted to do one on Fourth Wing, but I think that we got sucked into this other series too quickly.
Yeah.
So we couldn't do, and now it's like hard to jump back and forth. But Fourth Wing is coming out with a TV show. I'm telling you, man, when we pick a series, it goes the distance. It just does. They're good series.
There's rumors about the ACOTAR too, but
is there?
There is, but then I heard that it was called off, but then I hear it might be back. I don't know. So
Fourth Wing is a sure thing, I believe.
Yes.
Because I was taking screenshots of some articles, so just
on Prime. Fourth Wing's coming to Prime, but the rumor was ACOTAR was going to come to Hulu.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's still in the works or if the writer's strike messed all that up.
I mean, you would have a lot more to work with ACOTAR, which, by the way, is what we're talking about today. We are talking about ACOTAR, which you can see
A Court of Thorns and Roses, for those that don't know. I love it.
5-book series, but it goes deeper. There's 16 books in this world, right? And there's more coming.
Yeah. I think we're not done with ACOTAR. I don't know if there's been any announcements that there's going to be more books, but like official, but like I think there's rumors that.
Yeah, I think she just said that there's more coming to the universe, so she could tack on to any universe.
Yeah.
It's ACOTAR. There's something city, right?
There's Crescent City and then Throne of Glass.
Yes. So those are the 3 series that are all in the same world. And they're all standalone, but I gather that each book has something that you'll need to know from the other ones. You can read them alone, but they all have information you need from the other one.
I think that from what I've heard, there's a character, and I could be wrong, everyone, so just I really can because we're new to this Sarah J. Maas world. I think Crescent City has a character that comes from something from ACOTAR.
Yeah, that's what I read too.
For sure, Crescent City has to be done after ACOTAR.
So these are fantasy novels, which is, now you guys don't know this because you're not on our Facebook, but we all of us who are friends who do the podcasting, and some friends of ours who don't do podcasting, but we're in all different states. Everyone at Fandom Family Chats, or even the ones who ran family fan clubs, are Facebook groups that are now being shut down systematically by us. We are shutting them down, choosing to go to do a group on Fandom Family Chats on our podcast instead, because we have way too many interests to keep adding groups. We just couldn't do it. But we have a book club chat that we go through. We all recommend all these things. And this is Fourth Wing was the first fantasy series that we read. And it was so good. So good. Now, for me, there are scenes that I had to, if I was listening, had to fast forward. If I was reading, had to skip. But I am alone in that. In this group, nobody else.
Me and Amanda, we text each other. Like, wait for chapter this. You're gonna want to read it again.
There was also some rewinding done by you guys, and some going back.
Bookmark that clip so I can come back to that if I need to. Yeah.
And it was so good that at first, now Fourth Wing has dragons, right? It's dragons and some other, but it's mainly dragons. There's some other supernatural things. ACOTAR is fairies. Now, watching the banter between Jeanette and Amanda. Now, Amanda's the one who got us started on ACOTAR. Is she also who got us started on Fourth Wing?
No, that was me.
That was you. Okay. And I remember Jeanette saying, Amanda, I'm sorry. I'm just not into fairies. I just cannot get into this fairy book. I'll do dragons, but I won't do fairies. And this was while she was reading the first book. So I was not as excited to get in. But before we get into that, let me read you the synopsis, okay? A Court of Thorns and Roses is a young adult high fantasy. I would have never classified it as high fantasy, but high fantasy series by Sarah J. Maas. The saga begins when, I learned how to pronounce his name from the back of the book. Feyre? How do you pronounce the name? Because I would pronounce it Fair. Feyre. Okay. Feyre Archeron, a 19-year-old huntress, is kidnapped and brought to the fairy lands of Prythian after she kills a fairy wolf. Her kidnapper is Tamlin, a high fae and one of the 7 high lords of Prythian. Now, you'll notice I laughed when I said Tamlin, and it's because I was trying so hard not to look at Jeanette's facial expression when I said his name. I didn't
make one.
Sure you didn't. I saw something on you Twitch when I said his name. Now so I was not as excited to start this because Jeanette hated it so much. Well, she didn't hate it, but she didn't really like the book. It took her forever to get into the first
Mhm.
book until what, the last quarter of it? I think it was when you met
Last,
Riesland.
like last hunt, no, because
Really?
I didn't even like Resand. Like I did
Oh.
last 100 pages were what got me at least like okay. But I will say, and I still like if I'm looking at this as a standalone book, I still hate it.
You
If
hate it. I thought you just didn't like
if
it.
no, if other people like okay, maybe I didn't hate it. I think I gave it you know what, I'm gonna look it up. I want to see on my book Murray how many stars I gave it.
Bookmori, by the way, if you are reading books, Bookmori is a fantastic site. You can't like have friends with people the way you could on like Goodreads, but you can track what book you're reading, where you're at in the book. You can have your to be read list on there, and you get like you can see
Yep.
calendar progress of how many books you finished in the month and when. It's a Bookmori is what it's called. BOOKMORY.com or app to look it up in the app store, whatever phone you got.
I gave it 2 stars.
Wow.
Look, I was not going to go on. I was not going
I
to
remember
because
that.
I wasn't until everybody was like, I mean, I had like teachers at like my kids' school, like people that I respect, like as educators and things like this, that are like, this is like my favorite series I've ever read. Like, you've got to keep going. It's amazing. Love it. Like, you won't regret it. And I'm like, and then Amanda's in my ear, like, no, keep going. It's great. So I'm like, okay, I will read one more. And if I don't like that, I'm done. Well, here we are. I'm almost done with book 5. So clearly I liked Court of Mist and Fury, but Akatar, not so much. Like, I really didn't. It did not grab me. So we can talk about why here as we go along, but
Yeah, well, was it just too slow for you or what?
I connected to no one. Like there were like I mean, as far as the characters go, I mean, we know and I mean, like I said, guys, I'm almost done with book 5, so I'm going to do my very best to not say anything spoilerish. Maureen has only read book 1, so I'm trying hard. Okay, if I slip up, I apologize. But, um, Tamlin, nope, no,
Okay,
and not even
I
like
want to
even
dive into that dislike.
okay. Let's just dive in one by one. We
Why
can start
why
with
don't you
Feyre,
like
who
Tamlin? No,
I
I wanna do Tamlin first. Why don't you like
okay.
Tamlin?
So book 1, I got to contain it to just that.
Yes, you do.
Book 1, I did not have I mean, I didn't have this like hatred to like Tamlin, like that, like I feel like I'm gonna puke every time you say his name reaction, like I do
Which is what
now.
you do now.
It is. But at the time I was just like, oh, Tamlin. Like I didn't see it. Like I couldn't as I'm listening to the story, because I listened to all of these. I listen to these because for me, fantasy has to be audio or
Get into it.
I can't. It's too much. Like I get bored, I get sleepy, whatever. That's just obviously romance is my preferred genre. So it's hard to make the switch. I felt nothing. I felt like, why is this?
Okay.
It felt like a weird mystical retelling of Beauty and the Beast, which it kind of is.
Mm-hmm.
With I mean, I thought the Beast was a much more exciting character than Tamlin was. So like I just couldn't figure out what it was that was drawing people into this.
Mm-hmm.
And the book 1 is very the world building, it
Yeah.
takes a long time to
Mm-hmm.
do
It
it.
does.
So I will admit that once we got under the mountain, things picked up, but it was not because of Resand.
That surprises me a little bit.
I text a man and I'm like, I don't like him. He's actually terrible. Like he's like I was like because I had already know, like I mean, obviously being on the fourth wing like kick on TikTok, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times fans overlap. And so
Mm-hmm.
different things get talked about. So I already knew that there was a Tamlin, and I knew there was a Resand, and I knew that most people that I saw were Team Resand. But I was like, why? Because I don't like him either. He's actually mean. Like I was like, I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, does he sound hot? Yeah, he sounds hot. Like, but like I couldn't get past anything else. So I couldn't figure out what we were doing here.
See, no, I had the opposite reaction. Like, I will grant you that Tamlin's not that exciting, but I don't dislike
Oh.
him and I don't hate him at this point. And granted, and again, I've only read book 1, and that was
Mhm.
intentional because Amanda and Jeanette hate Tamlin so much, and I didn't understand it. So I intentionally didn't read past book 1 because I wanted to have this conversation while I still like Tamlin,
Yeah.
because I'm willing to bet after book 2 or some way in book 2, I'm gonna stop liking him. but I don't dislike him now, and I don't hate him now. And I'm actually at this point where I'm at the end of book 2. I know she's going to end up with Rhysand. It's not because I've read ahead. I did get one little spoiler of something Rhysand had said in book 2, but I have gotten no confirmation that she ends up. No, it was something I saw on TikTok.
Okay.
Which, if you want ACOTAR, be very, very careful if you put ACOTAR in TikTok when you're searching, because ACOTAR is what they call the entire series. So you very well might get spoilers from the other books if you just look for ACOTAR.
Yeah.
Because like I was looking up Fourth Wing and I only got Fourth Wing. I was looking up Iron Flame and I only got Iron Flame. But with ACOTAR, you get it all.
And these books have been out for a decade. So like people
really,
yeah. So people really don't. People are really, they spoil it a lot. They've been out for a very long time. And for us, they're new. And I think for a lot of, I think for a lot of people, they are new because I think they become like a book talk phenomenon. And so like more people have gotten into it.
How great for these authors, because Fourth Wing was another similar thing. That's not a new book.
No, Iron
Flame is, but Fourth Wing is not.
No.
So
book
I
talk
think
is pretty amazing and like bringing all this
good
out.
for these authors. I think more people should get this. And I think that a lot of authors don't have that same platform where they can launch it that way. So good. I'm glad for them. That's awesome. I didn't realize they were a decade old though. I didn't think they were that old.
That could be wrong, but they're very old, I'm pretty sure.
For me, I enjoyed the book. I really did. I like the world building. I enjoy, although for me, like when I'm listening to it, it's ironic because for me, it's harder to understand the world building when I'm listening to it. Even like in board games, if someone's reading me the rules, I can't. I need to actually physically grab it and read the rules myself. I can't retain it when they're telling me stuff.
Yeah.
So that, I think that really helped me. Maybe that would have been better. It helped me appreciate the book more when I could read the world being built. Because then when I would get confused, I would just go back a couple pages and be like, oh, okay. And then you also had the visual of the map in the book.
Yeah.
So that helped. And I did reference that a few times while I was reading. But with Tamlin, I didn't dislike it. Like he was kind of a brooding, well, not kind of, he was very brooding.
And he was very broody. Y'all know this. That's not my
but I don't dislike him. However, I am not obsessed with him. I'm not in love with him. I just don't dislike him. And I think that, and I said this to you guys in the chat, I think that a lot of women who are like, oh, I'm obsessed with Tamlin, he's so amazing, because they almost see like him setting off, what is her name? Feyre. I don't know why that's so hard for me to like get, but it is.
That's why I like audio with this stuff, so I can understand what the names are.
Who said it? Was it you who said that? There was like the only difference between you listening and me reading is that me listening, you reading is that I know all the pronunciations.
It's true.
Good call. But for Feyre, when he sent her off, and he did tell her he loved her, he sent her off to protect her. I think people are like, oh, that's the deepest form of love. No, it's not, because he just sentenced his entire court to death. That's not loving. That's really selfish, actually. That's incredibly selfish. I get why you wanted to protect her, but you could protect her without condemning your entire group of people. So I think that's where the obsession comes in with people, but I didn't see that as loving at all. I saw it as very self-serving, which is a problem.
I also didn't, there was moments where, like, I understand that he's High Lord over Lucian and all this stuff, but like, I felt like sometimes Lucian is meant to be written as, it's also his friend. It's his partner here, and it's all this, and I feel like he really just kind of treated him kind of crappy all the times. And I will say Lucian was the one character, like, if we were like
Lucian
in book 1, because I didn't like Rhysand, I was actually like, Feyre, what'd you get with Lucian? Because Lucian is the one that I like here. Like, he was the only one that I liked Feyre too. Don't get me wrong, I liked her from the beginning. But Feyre and Lucian, they were it. As far as characters that I enjoyed.
I agree with that. Like, I really, really, really enjoyed Lucian. Like, he was probably my favorite in book 1. Lucian was my favorite. Feyre is maybe a second, but even her, I got in the same ways that I got annoyed with Tamlin, I got annoyed with her. Like, just like, he knows this land, he knows what he's talking about, and he's telling you don't do this because it's going to harm you. Then you go out, you do it, you get harmed, and then you're mad at him. Like, dude, why? He told you not to do it for a reason.
Yeah.
So I didn't like that. It's very juvenile but I forget she's only 19. So I mean, and she's in a brand new world and she doesn't have anybody. So I mean, I get it.
Right.
But I was still irritated with her. But with Lucian, there was so much information in these books that when she went into his room and said, and his long red hair, I was like, wait, he has red hair?
He's from the Autumn
I don't
Court. Yeah.
I don't know how I missed that because it was written earlier in the books, but it was so much information that I was and I was like physically shocked that because I was picturing him completely different when she said his long red hair was flowing down when he was cleaning his swords in his room. Wait, did I miss other things in this book as I was reading it? What else did I miss? And I was a little surprised when they said that Tamlin was blonde. Like the second time they said he was blonde.
That could be part of my issue too. I don't dig blondes. I mean, we know this in
except
all
for
of
Matt Zucri.
Matt Zucri is the exception, basically, and
literally the only exception.
I don't know. I mean, Drew Starkey is blondish from time to time.
He's only blonde when he has the buzz cut.
Which
and
is
I think
favorite.
that's why you like it. It's not that it's blonde; it's because of the
usually
cut.
Usually I'm not into blondes. So that was another thing. Like that was just like all I kept picturing was like Orlando Bloom in like the Lord of the Rings. Like this is like the visual I was getting, and I don't like that visual. Like I don't like it because I like Orlando Bloom, like Pirates of the Caribbean Orlando Bloom, not Lord of the Rings Orlando Bloom. And this is what I kept picturing, like
I liked Lord of the Rings Orlando Bloom.
And so I was like, I don't know, I was just getting the ick. I could not get on board with Tamlin.
And maybe I mean, I don't have anything against blondes because Matt Zucri and Justin Timberlake and like Taylor Hanson, those were all guys that I liked growing up.
I like tall, dark, and handsome. This is my typical type. So Rhysand should be it. Like
to be fair, when I was younger, I was an equal opportunity boy obsessed girl. No. You could be blonde, you could be tall, dark, and handsome, you could be short and attractive. Like it was really okay with me.
When I was younger, Nick Carter was it for me. So obviously I did like blonde back then.
That was not a kind sound to make, and I'm sorry. Just came out without me trying.
You just said Justin Timberlake and nobody made a face.
That's because Justin Timberlake is amazing.
Ew, no. I'm not into Justin Timberlake. We'll have to skip that altogether.
Our boy bands that's where Jeanette and I differ, is our boy bands. And like I always say that you're the darker version of me. Because like you and I like a lot of the same things, but we like the opposites within that same thing.
Yes. We're like yin and yang over here.
And that's why we work so well together. That's why whenever Jeanette and I really disagree on something, I get so excited to record those podcasts because she and I are the ones who will debate it. Everyone else will just be like, I'm just gonna eat my popcorn over here. But Jeanette and I would just be like, no, this is okay
to us, whatever we think. But like when it's us going at each other, they're like,
What you guys also don't see is if Jeanette and I disagree in our chats, we will try to find people who agree with us or try to get them on board with us before we start a podcast. So we know that we have people on our side.
Support. Yeah.
I mean, I'm usually on an island by myself because everyone bows to Jeanette and Amanda, but that's okay with me.
As they should.
I usually win. But I think Tamlin, he's just very, I didn't think about the Beauty and the Beast reference until you guys brought it up in the chat. So but that it does seem kind of like a ripoff of that.
Even to the point that like I pictured Alice as like the armoire. Like this is, I can't help that that's like the idea that was popping in my head, or like a combination of the armoire and Mrs. Potts. Yep. But like in a, like, you know, where Mrs. Potts at the end of the movie when she's like in a, like she's a real person. This is what I pictured Alice as.
That's how I was picturing her too until then. Especially when they said that when the glamour went off and it was like her face was leathered, they said.
Yeah.
I pictured that.
Which is so funny. I have to tell Amanda because there was I told her there was only one other person in these stories that I pictured as a cartoon character. But no, now I'm wrong because I definitely pictured Alice as a cartoon character too. Everyone else was like adult, like actual physical people. There's someone in the second book, the Weaver, which I pictured as like a Hansel and Gretel-ish like witch. Like and Amanda pictured her as the wrinkled old witch from Snow White. So kind of the same, like, but like the cartoon versions. Yeah. Like it's what we're picturing in our head in a land full of other people. So it's kind of funny. But that's what we had in our heads.
I like that though. I think they should do that because there are some shows that have done like the Who Framed Jessica Rabbit or Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Yeah. That's perfect.
Or the Cool World. Do you remember that movie back in the day?
Oh my gosh, I forgot about
that. Flashback. I brought that up to David the other day, and he was like, "Oh my god, I forgot about Cool World." Like super inappropriate. We should have never been watching that movie.
No. But to be fair, we probably shouldn't have watched Who Framed Roger Rabbit either.
No. No, I mean Jessica Rabbit did things to boys our age like that probably shouldn't. It was like an awakening. Like, oh my God, this cartoon character.
90s, man. 90s and 80s.
This is
Whole
why
different
90s
world.
kids grown up, we are a different breed and like we
We
were raised.
really are.
Uh-huh.
Like we are, you can relate boomers to other people or the generation right below us to the generation right above us, but you cannot compare 90s kids to anybody else.
Elder millennials, we have a niche like
Yep.
yep.
Anyway, I think that's interesting because like it was hard for me to picture them. I kept forgetting they were fairies.
Mm-hmm.
So it was hard for me to picture them as fairies. I kept picturing them as actual people
Yeah.
until the one, oh, that scene where the one fairy came in and kept saying, "She took my wings, she took my wings." That was
Yeah.
the first time I actually saw them all as fairies. And that was the, I was kind of back and forth on Feyre of, do I like her? Does she irritate me? But that scene right there, like, okay, you have some metal and I like you a lot and
Yeah.
you've risen. Where she just held his hands long after he was gone. That I actually cried during that scene because it
Yeah.
was so sad. You didn't even, did you connect with that scene at all?
I mean, no. I mean, yes, like you know what I mean? Like I liked it, but it was like I think by the time
You liked it?
well, no, I mean I like I was interested, I
Oh,
suppose.
okay.
But, you know, not liked it, but like by the time it got interesting for me, like I said, which was Under the Mountain, still at that point, I was so ready to be done with it
Mm-hmm.
that I just felt exhausted. Like I wasn't excited to like, oh my God, what happens next? I just wasn't.
That is the biggest. I had to look to see which one was.
Oh,
I
it's
couldn't
not
remember. It
though. No,
was.
no, no. Silver Flames is larger, but I have ravished that book. Like
Oh wait, Akatar's the smallest, other than that one that you guys
other,
said is
yeah,
unnecessary.
yeah. But it feels like the longest. I mean, it feels
I really
extreme.
enjoyed it.
Well, see, and so you may like you are. I think you're definitely not going to have trouble because they only get better.
Okay, and I do know that like with Resand, I was surprised to hear you didn't because he made me laugh right away. Like his character was interesting. I actually like.
And what was it? I feel like oh, I wish I should have like looked back at all my like messages to Amanda. There were just a couple moments because, like I said, I read this mid-January, guys. So like it's been like I'm trying to
I
remember
did kind
it
of force her to do this with me because I wanted to
versus
talk about this.
the other ones. So like, but there were just moments when I was like just really disgusted with his behavior towards Feyre.
Disgust. That's a strong word.
Yeah,
Like, can you
because
give me an
like
example?
okay, here's like no, that's why I can't like I mean just even the bargain of like, you know, I'm only going to help you, but you got to come spend a week with me like and here's the difference. Okay, we know that I like morally gray TV show characters.
Hmm.
So you haven't experienced this with me because like Caitlin and Tiffany try to recommend books to me. My book boyfriends, I do not like to be near I don't like them morally gray.
Okay.
I like the golden retriever boys in my books. Whereas my TV shows, I like the Rafe Camerons of the world. I know it's complicated.
Zayden Ryerson's not a golden retriever.
Yeah, I know. But he's not, there was still, I know. You know what though? But beginning of like Zayden, I actually liked Dane better at first.
See, you and
But
I are very
it
opposite there too.
quickly
Like
changed.
Dane, I could not
It quickly
stand.
changed for me. But like there were just a couple times when Reese just seemed so, I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't connecting.
He
I was not
reminded me of another. I don't even know if it was in a book or a show, but I had in my head that he was going to be a good guy, a decent human being, but was pretending to be awful. So the people who were actually the bad guys, they
Mhm.
didn't realize it and they thought he was on our side. I don't remember if that was from a show or a movie, but he reminded me so much of that character that I knew that he was good. It was just a front what he was doing. So I liked him almost instantly. And I think I was proven right by that final scene when she was being the image in my head though of Feyre being smashed around by that crazy lady.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not laughing because it was hilarious, but just the way I'm like seeing her body kind of flail as she picks her up
Mhm.
and slams her down is the
Yeah.
imagery is it's like, man, I sound awful when I say that.
Well, it's so hard for me to go backwards because like without saying too much, my feelings of everything that he did wrong in book 1 are now different looking
Mhm.
backwards.
See, and I felt that immediately. Like I
I
knew he
was
was
not
good
into it.
immediately
I
because of
didn't think
how
so.
you could see him protecting her and protecting other people while still making her do things that would be just uncomfortable enough for everybody. So Rhysand, I liked right away. I wouldn't say I'm on either team. Where I'm at right now, and I'm willing to bet it's going to change, is that I don't dislike Tamlin. I would right now, I have because I did see it, like I said, that little spoiler where Rhys said something. I don't have any confirmation she's with him, but I think that he and Feyre are going to be together in the end in some form. Right now, where I'm at, it is going to make me sad to see her leave Tamlin for Rhys and see Tamlin be devastated at the loss of his love. That's where I'm at right now. It's going to make me sad. Like, I'll get over it, but it'll make me sad. I'm willing to bet now that I have been duped by this Tamlin guy and that I'm going to end up very much disliking him if you and Amanda are any indication. But as of book 1, I didn't see a problem with him.
I mean, I don't know what to say. Because I mean, I do get where you're at, because like I said, all of my points,
you guys disliked him right from the beginning.
I felt indifferent.
Okay.
From the beginning for him.
Okay. That's better, Donners. I thought you guys hated him from the beginning.
I honestly, if we're like, I probably hated Rhys more in book 1.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
I am so surprised by that.
But I didn't like Tamlin either. Like, I was for real, like, can she just go be with Lucian? Because like these guys are not it. Until the very end, until like, and that's one thing I want to get the graphic audio for that I was telling you about, because apparently in the graphic audio for this, the end where she's dying and Rhys calls out Feyre. I've heard the clip like on TikTok. And it is, I'll have to find it. It is so powerful. The sadness in his voice, I think, would have given it away to anyone that didn't know that he like actually felt something for her that was real. I think just reading it, you may get an inclination, but like listening to that graphic audio, there is no doubt in your mind hearing his voice the way he yells out to her.
I think from like as I was reading it, I didn't feel like he was in love with her at that point, but I felt like he cared whether she lived or died.
Yes.
But I also felt like anyone who was good and decent, he would care if they lived or died, if they were fighting for an entire group of people. Because I feel like that was the one thing, that was when by the end of the book, I was that's why I'm willing to bet I was duped by Tamlin, because by the end of the book, I was like, Tamlin really didn't do a whole lot there, and Rhys did a whole lot to save an entire group of people.
Yeah, and that was my thing. Like, I understand that Tamlin was trying to paint this picture for Amarantha and like not let her know, I guess, how much Feyre meant to. I get that. But I'm like, bud, you couldn't do anything?
Yeah.
Like nothing at all? Like, really?
And the one thing he did was pull her into a room and start kissing her. Like, in the middle of a party where Amarantha was. And even Rhys was like, are you stupid?
Exactly. Like, so it just felt like more, his love for her was more of, oh my God, I don't know. I can't say much.
I think he genuinely loved her, but I think it was a very selfish love that he has for her.
Yeah. And that's why I'm trying not to say much, because my opinions are clouded by the future books. They can't not be. So
I can get it from that perspective. And I think I would be okay. My only thing is that because it's such a selfish love, I felt like Tamlin was putting everything he had into Feyre, and Feyre does love him. And so I didn't really want her to be sad either.
Yes.
And I know that her leaving him is going to hurt her just as much as it hurts him. And I don't want and even if she does love Rhys at some point, and maybe that'll change. But where I'm at right now at the end of book 1, I feel like it will hurt her and it'll hurt him, and that I just don't want to see either one of them hurt.
Yeah.
But I do think that Rhys is, just going off of book 1 again, I think he's way more brave than Tamlin, because he is doing everything in his power. He's also making it look like he's on Amarantha's side, but he's doing a whole heck of a lot.
And he's been doing it for 50 years.
And it's for his entire court. It's not just about how he feels personally about somebody. Look at Lucian. Look at how bad Lucian was. He was beaten for helping Feyre.
Yes. And he did. And Tamlin still just sat there by her side. Like, these were the points that I was like, buddy, I feel like you could do, like, man up just a little. Just a little.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And that was that. So that's why that's why I didn't dislike him, but that's also why I don't love Tamlin, is because of these scenes that were towards the end. And when Rhys was the one protecting or like fighting for her, I was like, dude, what are you doing? You're done. But then I forgot that he was stabbed with ash. So he was still like in the chest. He was still like freaking out because he did right after the
No.
wound closed. But I was mad at first. Like, where are you?
Yeah.
So I mean, that was I think it'll be easy to sway me against Tamlin, but I don't dislike him right now. That was honestly that was the biggest reason I wanted to talk to you guys because I felt like the hatred for him is so deep, and I can't where I'm at in the books, I can't fathom hating him the way you guys do.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this one's so eager for you to dive into Mist and Fury. Do you have that you can dive into like today? Oh yeah, they're right there. Duh. It's right behind your head. Yeah, like you need for whatever reason, I'm in my head that you have to have an audio version because that's what I'm doing.
No, that's
Like
you.
obviously you don't. Obviously you don't.
I actually really liked. Now I did this with Iron Flame. I
Mhm.
listened on 1.6 speed while reading it, and I really enjoyed that. So I would like to get the audio and do the same with these,
You
but I
have
don't have money for the
Spotify
audio.
Premium by any chance?
Nope.
It's unfortunate because it's on there, even though we
Well,
only
you
get
only
15
don't you
hours.
only get I was gonna say, don't you only get a certain amount of hours on there?
Yeah, I'm so mad about that. But
So I mean, I really like the series, and I was really I liked the book. There was a lot. I wasn't confused by a lot of it though. Like just the lay of the land, I was confused by. I couldn't wrap my head around that lake thing, where it was
yeah,
in relation to the house and the forest. I couldn't wrap my head around that either.
I think it's a lot of information.
Yes.
Like it's hard to picture sometimes, for
So
sure.
I think this is where fan art helps.
Mhm.
Is because I have already like I said, I was shocked that his hair was red halfway and that scene happens near the end of the book. So, and I
Yeah,
was
so
surprised
you're
he had
all
red
along.
hair.
Yeah.
So I need the fan art. Although, did you see that one Amanda sent it to me? She might have sent it to you. The fan art of Zayden on his dragon, where his head is like the same size as Sigale's. Like that fan art doesn't
Oh,
help me.
I saw that too. I'm like, yeah, that's not like. I mean, I don't know what. Let's talk about fourth. Like, I don't know what I think about those dragons. Like, I pictured them much bigger, like Game of Thrones big.
They're going to be. She has two. I already forgot her name.
Violet.
Is that her name? Oh, it is.
Vi-
Violence. Yep.
yeah, Violet. He calls her Violence. Yeah.
Because she has to like rock climb up his legs
Okay. Yeah.
because it's so high up that she said her head didn't even reach to his knee.
See.
They're massive. That was bad fan art and it made me giggle. So I am excited to read the second ones, and I don't know how we're gonna do this in the future. I just really wanted to talk the first book before I got into the rest of them because of the hatred felt towards Tamlin. And I will say that I was typing Tamlin in our group chat, and the suggestion was tampon. My
Is accurate.
phone's my phone's keyboard suggestion was tampon. Is that why the fandom calls him tampon though? Just because phones
No.
suggest
Let
it.
me just tell you, he's called Tampon because he deserves to be called Tampon. Let me tell you. He will make Dane look like
Ugh,
a saint.
I hate Dane.
Well, I'm just saying, if you compare him to Tamlin, you'll like him. But I am so excited for you, and I don't mind to come back and do one of these for every book. Like I could talk about this. That's fine. The next book, like the next book is probably my second favorite because I think I'm
Oh,
almost done with Silver Flames. Silver Flames is going to be my number one. I already know. Like this is Silver Flames is the first one. Like I'm obsessed. Like please
I
give me
heard the
more. I
last
can't
two
stop.
were awful.
Um, I think you okay, the focus of the characters shifts in the last book. It's not as Feyre and Rhysand heavy. Um, so that could be why someone doesn't like it as much. They may not like the characters that it's focusing on. I personally like them better.
Oh,
I mean, and not that I love Rhysand, I love Feyre, I love everyone you're about to meet in the Night Court.
I'm really excited about Night Court though. Like I'm
Like
really excited about it.
literally everyone. All of my favorite characters are right there.
In the second book?
Like, yes. So the second book's that like my order would go Silver Flames, Mist and Fury, Wings and Ruin, the Starlight, the little Hallmark novella.
Oh, that you put that above ACOTAR says something.
Yeah. And it's because none of my like honestly, wait until you meet the Night Court. The Night Court, I mean, who Tamlin and his little like
Spring Court.
spring court buddies can like no gross like
If you make me laugh and you're sarcastic, I mean, you're probably gonna have my heart. That's really all it takes for me.
you're gonna love them. You're going to love them. I'm gonna send you a bunch of fan art on like All of
Yes, please,
like
because that'll
Cassian,
help.
Azriel, like and here that's so it's Cassian, Azriel. So you know how to pronounce his name here. Okay.
I would have pronounced it Azriel.
Amryn, and then
See, now I did one of those My Life in Akatar filters
uh
on TikTok. I don't even know
yeah.
if I posted it, but I didn't. I think I called them all women, but then I think some of them were men. Azriel was one of them. If that's a dude, that I called him a guy, a
Oh yeah,
girl.
Azriel's a guy. Like he's an Illyrian, like yummy, like big old like 6'8", like
Well, I did the only ones that I got Lucian and Resand are the two that I got
okay.
on the bottom, and then the top four. Like I don't know these people.
Now I want to know who it was. I'm curious. You should send it to me.
Maybe I'll post it after I read book one. Be like, hey,
And
I get it now.
and book 5 even introduces two more characters, two more women characters.
Will they go
That
on into Crescent City then?
I don't think so. And see that's where the problem is. I think she has to do I'm gonna be angry actually if she doesn't do more in this world because um Azriel, well, okay, I can tell you this part because I've already mentioned Cassian. I won't mention anything past that because I don't want to give anything away. But Cassian is the male person that is in Silver Flames.
Okay.
And
Oh,
he
and
is
Silver Flames just came out in
he's
2021.
yes, and he's my dude. Like I'm Cassian, my guy. Okay. But Azriel, like the fans want a book about Azriel and like what happens with him. Like I want it too. He's all sweet and broken and like quiet. He's another shadow daddy. He's the other one besides Zayden that we'll refer to as this.
I
He
love
controls his
Zayden.
shadows too. So he's like their spy, like for the Night Court, whereas Cassian's like their war general who trains everybody and stuff. So like, and I'm not gonna tell you about the girls because there's I think this is why you'll fall in love with the Night Court is when you find out like the girls' roles in the Night Court and stuff too.
Okay.
So read
I'm
it.
looking up all the dates in the okay. So she wrote the Throne of Glass. Oh, there's one, two, three, four, five. There's 8 of Throne of Glass.
And Throne of Glass is very old. Me and Amanda were wrong. We thought Throne of Glass was spicier than Akatar. It's the other way around because Throne of Glass was written when she was very young.
The first one is 2014 or 2012, and then 13, and then 14, and then Court of Thorn and Roses came out 2015,
Okay.
and then 16 one came out in each, 15 another one came out. So she actually for the last one, two, three, the last 4 books of the Throne of Glass were put out the same year as the first 4 of the Akatar series. So she
Okay.
was double dipping those.
So she probably needs a break.
And then, but she did have a 3-year break between that little mini novella.
That were Crescent Cities, I wonder when those
That's what I'm
were.
looking up right now. Because I
Amanda
just
has
looked at
started Throne of Glass and she should be waiting. I'm gonna tell her she should have waited. We could all read it together, Amanda.
oh, there's only 3 in the Crescent City.
Yeah.
2020. Okay, so the little novella for Akatar came out 2018.
Mhm.
And then Crescent City, the original or the first one came out 2020. And then the last Akatar one came out 2021. Second Crescent City came out 2022. And then House of Flame and Shadow is coming out 2024. Unless it's already out now. Did it already come out?
What is it?
The third in the Crescent City books.
Oh yeah, it just came out.
Okay.
I
So
think.
she's been writing a book a year or producing a book a
Yeah.
year.
So we gotta give her a break. But I
And
would
those
like
are
to see
big
more.
books.
Like I'd like Azriel's story. I really would. But it's okay.
Well, she did say that there's more coming, so that would give me an indication that she probably already has this world all done up.
Yeah.
At least in idea form. And if she just put this one out, I mean, if she's been putting out a book a year, I'm willing to bet that next year there'll be another one. And if she just introduced 2 people in the last Akatar, that's probably that one that's going to come out.
See if
I
she
feel
can
like
do
she's
this.
I feel like she's done with Throne of Glass because that last one came out
Yeah. And there's like a bunch of those. Like
8.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that last one was 2018 and she hasn't touched
I'm
it
just
since.
saying, if Sarah J. Maas can do this, Rebecca Yarros needs to get on it and get us our 3rd book. Like you can make this happen, lady. Come on, let's go. Let's go.
I do think I want to talk and when we do Fourth Wing, we're going to talk Iron Flame and Fourth Wing together because we've all read all the books that are out.
Right.
So we are going to be doing that one soon. Probably our dear Amanda is away on a much needed vacation. So I was gonna call it a solstice, but that wasn't gonna work. So when she comes back, we are going to
So
dig
appropriate
into.
though, because the winter solstice is such a big deal in the night court.
Oh, is
Just
it?
saying. It is.
Look at
Yep.
that.
There's a
Look at
big
what I
ball.
did there
It's
accidentally.
wonderful. Yeah.
So we are going to talk Fourth Wing and Iron Flame when she comes back. She might be sad that we started this without her because this is her jam. This is her thing.
She'll be
But
fine.
she'll be here when we get to talk about all the things she loves the
Yeah.
most.
She'll be fine.
It should be known that Amanda also really, really hates Tamlin.
Yeah.
I feel like we just need to let the fandom know that she hates Tamlin too.
I mean, she did like this book, and she was in love with Reese from the beginning. So,
oh, good. She and I are in sync then.
yes, I was like questioning her, like, what in the world is happening here?
Never doubt Amanda.
I know I should know better.
So this is going to be it, I think, because I don't think we can talk much more about it without Jeanette giving away a lot more of what's coming up.
I'm trying.
And I don't want, this is the one thing, like when I'm reading books, I will only want spoilers for the book I'm in. And I don't want it from other things. I would just want, like sometimes when I was reading Twilight, for instance, when I was reading New Moon, I did go to the end page and be like, okay, I just need to know if I have to be stressed out for the entire book or just part of it. Because I get very into my books. And more than TV shows and more than movies, I get really stressed out if I fall in love with the character. So I will flip. Sometimes I don't go all the way to the end. Sometimes I go to the middle. And I don't read a lot. I just want to know how stressed out I need to be.
I think you're gonna get stressed out in these next two because they're like, I can't speak for the fifth one. The fourth one you will not get stressed out at all. It's like literally a cute little Hallmark Christmas special.
I thought you hated that one.
I know it was hard to read it because the others are so action packed, like let's do this stuff. And then this one it really felt like a Christmas special. Like
maybe it was.
I mean, it kind of is. It's set around winter solstice. I mean, it's like it kind of is.
I wonder if we could find out if it was released around Christmas.
It was a transition between to get us into, because like I said, our character focus shifts in Silver Flames.
Okay.
So we needed it was almost like a palate refresher to like.
It's a really skinny book.
It's only like 4 hours. I mean, it's like it's little, like compared to like the time wise to like listen to it. But
with books, this is new for me to hear books to be like, you just said it's only 4 hours long. What does that mean?
It's because a lot of mine are like audiobooks. So that's how I'm like.
And I've never ever done an audiobook before because I usually don't retain my listening. In fact, I will put in, not because it's boring, I love it, but it calms me. So at night when I can't sleep, I'll put on my Bible app and I'll have it read to me. Because it's not because I'm going to fall asleep, because I don't really retain it. It's just noise that's going in my ear.
Yeah. If I didn't have my audiobooks, like I would never get books read because my kids don't leave me alone. And then by the time they are done, like when I have a book in front of if it's dark outside and I'm reading a book, I'm falling asleep. Like it's too late. Like I have to read it like early in the day when I'm all good and refreshed, and that doesn't happen very often.
I feel that so deeply.
So audiobooks are like they're playing in my head while I'm working. Granted, not all the time. If I'm like trying to balance the books or like doing something important, sometimes
your boss is gonna watch this, be like, what now?
I mean, like obviously I have to pause it, but I mean it's almost like, I mean, people listen to music when they work. It's almost like the same thing. It allows me to like do that, or when I'm cooking dinner. Sorry about that. For like my kids and stuff. Like,
yeah, I get that.
I love when they come in the room, they're trying to talk to me, and I'm like, hold on, what? Mama's listening to her book. I didn't hear you.
I can't listen to it when I read or when I'm working because I work with kids in a school.
Yeah, that doesn't work for you.
And so I have noticed that I was so proud of myself. I read 10 books. I read 11 books in January and February. I was like, more books than I've read in a long time. My March reading list, I think I finished one.
Well, that's okay. I've done 9 each month so far. I don't think March is going to be that because I think.
But I can only do physical copies. And so, like you, I can't do it when I come home because I've got to make dinner and I've got kids. And then I wake up at 5 a.m. every morning. So by the time I lay down in bed, I get my little book out. I get my book laid out. And several times since I started working, my husband has taken the book out of my hands and turned off the light because I'm sleeping.
Oh, I know. That's okay, though. That's okay.
But I will get these read. If they're good and the house is clean, I will just power through on a weekend.
Look, I'm telling you what, those next 2, you don't even need to worry about your house. You just need to read these books. Look, the house will be there. Trust me.
We did the house this weekend, so I'm set.
So you're good now. You can get off of this and go open up Mist and Fury.
I have to read the second Good Girl's Guide to Murder.
You don't, though.
They'll set me back to the library on the 14th. So I think that's probably as far as we can go into this first book without ruining anything. But as I read the other books, because Amanda and Jeanette have read all 5 so far, we'll do like a One Tree Hill thing, depending on how quickly I can read through these, where we'll do a review of a book to help you out. And I think it's more cohesive to do it that way than doing it all at once, because you don't know what people have read, what people have seen, what people,
Right.
you don't want to spoil it for anybody. And I think if I read them all and then did a review, there's no way I could level it to one book. I couldn't. Props to you for not spoiling anything.
It's hard.
Good
Trust
job.
me. And just why I'm so much more quiet than usual. I don't know what to say.
I don't shut up ever, so that's good. Remember, you can go to Spreaker.com, Spreaker, to find our podcast. That really helps us if you go to that platform, but you can also find it on Spotify, on iTunes, on all those platforms. You can find it there. Also, our YouTube channel, please make sure you are subscribing. Share it with your family and friends. The more people we have subscribed there, the more probability we have of cast and crew coming on there to be interviewed. And that's something we really want to start getting more of for you. So make sure you're subscribing there. Check out our new Facebook group for Fandom Family Chats, and let us know what fandom you want us to dig into next. Up next, we have coming for you probably all of our season finales. We've got some premieres coming up for you, if it hasn't already, for Grey's Anatomy, Station 19, for 911 OG. Those are coming at you, season premieres. Season finales are coming up soon. And we will also have some more Bridgerton talk for you that's coming up. And hopefully the bear will be in there somewhere soon. After our ACOTAR series, we will jump into Fourth Wing. And that is all we have for you today. So thanks for listening. We'll see you real soon. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Loving our content? Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And don't forget to share our podcast with your family and friends. We want to continue the conversation with you. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok under Fandom Family Chats, or one of our ever-growing Facebook groups by searching Family Fan Club. We've also launched a website, Family Fan Club 2021 at Wixsite.com. You can email us there and keep checking it for announcements and merch coming soon. And of course, be sure to tune in every week for new episodes discussing all your favorite shows.